Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
Huh.
Today, we're looking at gold IRAs, specifically using a website called goldirablueprint.com.
Okay,
And we're going to kind of go through the site, learn about the strategy, and really see what it has to offer.
sounds good.
For those who might be new to this whole idea,
Yeah.
what is a gold IRA and why are people considering moving their 401ks there?
Yeah, so a gold IRA, it's essentially a self-directed IRA, similar to a traditional IRA, but instead of holding stocks or bonds, it holds physical gold.
Okay.
And, we see people moving their 401ks over there to diversify their retirement portfolio,
Oh, yeah.
and potentially hedge against things like inflation or economic uncertainty.
And what's the big appeal there? Why are people looking to diversify away from traditional assets?
Well, I think a lot of folks are concerned about, the current economic climate.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of volatility in the stock market.
Yeah.
Inflation has been, a persistent concern.
Right.
And so gold, it's historically been seen as a safe haven asset,
Right.
something that can potentially hold its value
Yeah.
during times of turmoil.
So it's that sense of stability that people are searching for in these uncertain times.
Exactly.
Now, goldirablueprint.com, they have a free checklist that helps people choose the right gold IRA company for them. And we'll make sure to link that in the show notes. But let's kind of take a step back. For those who might be unfamiliar, can you explain what a 401k is and why someone might want to consider moving those funds in the first place?
Sure. So a 401k is a retirement savings plan that's sponsored by an employer.
Okay.
And it allows employees to contribute a portion of their pre-tax income.
Right.
And that money grows tax-deferred until retirement.
Right.
But one of the potential downsides is that, investment options within a 401k are often limited
Okay.
to what the employer offers.
Gotcha.
And those options might not include gold.
That makes sense. So while 401ks are a great starting point for retirement savings, they might not offer the flexibility that some people are looking for, especially when it comes to diversifying with assets like gold.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about 401ks, we've touched on gold.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dive a little deeper into the why gold part. What makes this precious metal such an appealing alternative for retirement savings?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, gold has this long history of being a safe haven asset. It's been used as a form of currency for centuries. It's seen as a store of value.
Yeah.
And it tends to hold its value or even appreciate during times of economic uncertainty.
And why is that? Why does gold tend to hold up when other assets might be struggling?
Well, a few reasons. One is scarcity.
Okay.
Gold is a finite resource.
Yep.
There's a limited supply of it in the world.
Right.
Unlike paper currency, which can be printed endlessly,
Right.
gold can't just be created out of thin air.
Okay.
Another reason is it has intrinsic value.
Okay.
It's a tangible asset with practical uses in various industries.
So it's not just a shiny object.
Yeah,
It has real-world applications.
exactly. And then finally, there's this perception of gold as a hedge against inflation. When currencies lose their purchasing power, gold tends to hold its value.
Right.
So it can potentially help preserve your wealth.
So it's that combination of scarcity, intrinsic value, and its historical role as a hedge against inflation that makes gold so attractive.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our 401k funds, we're thinking about gold, we're liking what we're hearing, but how do we actually go about moving our 401k to a gold IRA without getting in trouble with the IRS?
That's a great question. And it's where understanding the process is really important. And Gold IRA Blueprint, they lay this out really clearly.
Okay.
So the first thing you want to do is check your 401k plan documents.
Okay.
Make sure that rollovers are even allowed.
Right.
Not all plans allow for rollovers, especially to a specialized account like a Gold IRA.
And if rollovers are allowed, are there different ways to actually move the funds?
Yes. There are two main methods,
Okay.
a direct rollover and an indirect rollover.
Okay.
A direct rollover is the most straightforward option.
Okay.
It involves a direct transfer of funds from your 401k custodian
Okay.
to the custodian of your new Gold IRA.
So you're not actually handling the money yourself. It's all happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. And that's the preferred method from a tax perspective
Yeah.
because you avoid any potential tax liabilities or penalties that can arise with an indirect rollover.
So direct rollover equals peace of mind.
Pretty much.
Now, what about those indirect rollovers? When might someone choose that option, and what are the potential pitfalls?
So with an indirect rollover, you actually receive the funds from your 401k personally.
Okay.
And then you have 60 days to reinvest that money into a Gold IRA.
Okay.
And that's where things can get a little tricky because if you miss that 60-day deadline,
Oh.
You could be hit with taxes and penalties.
Okay, so ticking clock situation there.
Exactly.
So we've successfully navigated the rollover process. Our funds are safely on their way to our sparkling new gold IRA. What's the next big hurdle we need to clear?
Well, now you need to choose a gold IRA custodian. This
Yeah.
is a company that will hold and manage your physical gold
Okay.
within your IRA.
So we're not stuffing gold bars under our mattress.
Definitely not. It's essential to work with a reputable custodian that specializes in gold IRAs.
And again, Gold IRA Blueprint has that free checklist that walks you through the process of choosing the right company.
Wow.
And as always, we'll link to that in the show notes. You can find it at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
Great.
But can't you just use your regular bank or brokerage for this? Why do you need a specialized custodian for a gold IRA?
That's a good question. But gold IRAs, they have specific rules and regulations
Yeah.
that differ from traditional IRAs. You need a custodian who understands those nuances,
Okay.
has the experience to ensure everything's done correctly.
So expertise is key.
Sure.
What are some of the telltale signs that a custodian is trustworthy and reliable? What red flags should people watch out for?
Well, first and foremost, check their reputation and track record.
Cool.
You want a company that's been around for a while,
Right.
has a solid reputation, positive customer reviews, do your homework, make sure they're the real deal.
So due diligence is essential.
Absolutely.
Okay. What else?
Security is paramount.
Of course.
You want to make sure your gold is stored in a secure, insured facility.
Right.
Look for custodians who offer transparent storage procedures,
Okay.
and have a proven track record of protecting their clients' assets.
So transparency and a solid track record are essential when it comes to security.
Yes. And then there's fees.
Right, because everything comes with fees.
You want a custodian with clear, transparent pricing.
Okay.
Look for a company that outlines their fees up front so there are no surprises down the road.
So no hidden costs lurking in the fine print.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got reputation, security fees.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else people should be considering when evaluating potential custodians?
Yeah, don't overlook customer service.
Well, that's a good point.
You want a custodian who is responsive to your questions and concerns.
Right.
Look for a company with a dedicated customer support team that can guide you through the process and provide ongoing support.
It's like having a partner in your corner throughout this whole journey.
Exactly.
Okay, so we found our custodian. We're feeling good about it. We're ready to open that gold IRA account.
Hmm.
Is this as simple as opening a regular bank account, or are there any special hoops to jump through?
It's actually fairly straightforward these days,
Yeah.
especially with reputable custodians
Okay.
who offer streamlined online applications.
Well, thank goodness for technology.
Yeah. You'll typically need to provide some basic information.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
your personal information, social security number, contact information.
Right.
And of course, you'll need to select your chosen custodian.
And again, Gold IRA Blueprint has that free checklist that
Yes.
walks you through the entire account opening process.
It's very helpful.
You can find it at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. We'll also link it in the show notes.
Great.
All right, our account is open. Our 401k funds are patiently waiting in the wings.
Mm-hmm.
How does that transfer process work?
Hmm.
Is it a simple click of a button, or are there more hurdles to clear?
Usually pretty straightforward,
Okay.
especially if you opt for that direct rollover. You'll need to provide your new custodian with the details of your 401k account,
Okay.
and they'll handle the transfer paperwork.
So it sounds relatively painless.
It should be.
What about the timeline? How long does it typically take for that transfer to be completed?
It can vary
Yeah.
depending on the institutions involved,
Right.
but you can generally expect the transfer to be completed within a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Your new custodian should keep you updated on the progress,
Okay.
let you know if any additional documentation is needed.
So communication is key.
Yes.
Okay. Funds are transferred. We've chosen our custodian accounts open. Are we finally done? Can we kick back and watch our gold sparkle?
Almost. There's one more important step. Choosing your gold investments.
Right. Because we've been talking about gold in a general sense. But what are our options within a gold IRA?
Oh.
Can we choose gold bars, coins, mining stocks? What are the possibilities?
Well, you do have some options,
Okay.
but there are IRS-approved investments
Right.
for gold IRAs. Typically, you'll be choosing between physical gold, such as coins or bullion,
Uh-huh.
and certain gold-related assets like exchange-traded funds or ETFs.
Okay, let's unpack those options. What are the pros and cons of investing in physical gold within a gold IRA?
So physical gold, like coins or bullion, offers that tangible sense of ownership. You
Yeah.
can hold it in your hand,
Right.
admire it.
That's appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's also seen as a more direct hedge against inflation and economic uncertainty.
Right, because you actually own the asset.
Exactly. But one thing to consider is that physical gold requires secure storage,
Right, we talked about that.
which often comes with additional fees.
Right.
Plus, it's not as liquid as other assets.
Okay.
If you need to access your funds quickly, selling physical gold can take some time.
So liquidity and storage fees are factors to weigh?
Absolutely.
Okay. What about gold-related assets, like those ETFs? How do those work within a gold IRA?
So gold ETFs, they're essentially baskets of stocks
Okay.
that track the price of gold.
Okay.
They offer more liquidity than physical gold, and you can easily buy and sell them on stock exchanges.
So it's a way to get exposure to the gold market without actually owning physical gold.
Exactly. But it's important to note that ETFs don't offer that same tangible ownership.
Right.
You're essentially investing in a financial instrument
Right.
that tracks the gold price, not the metal itself.
So each option has its own set of advantages and disadvantages. It's about finding the right fit for your personal goals and risk tolerance.
Absolutely. And remember, Gold IRA Blueprint does a great job of explaining the nuances of each investment option.
Right.
They even provide a comparison chart on their website to help you weigh the pros and cons.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you can find that at goldarablueprint.com/exclusive. We'll also link that in the show notes. So we've carefully considered our options. We've chosen our gold investments. What happens next? Do you just kick back and let our gold grow?
Well, investing for retirement is a long-term game.
Right.
That means actively monitoring your investments
Okay.
and making adjustments as needed.
We can't just set it and forget it.
Right. It's important to keep an eye on the performance of your investments.
Uh-huh.
You'll want to track any fees or expenses associated with your account
Right.
and stay informed about market trends and economic conditions that could impact the price of gold.
So it's like any investment. You need to stay engaged and informed.
Exactly.
Is this something that most people can handle on their own? Or is professional guidance recommended?
While you can certainly manage your gold IRA yourself,
Okay.
many people find it helpful to work with a financial advisor
Okay.
who specializes in gold IRAs.
Right.
They can help you develop a customized investment strategy, monitor your portfolio, and make adjustments as needed.
So finding a financial advisor who understands the nuances of gold IRAs can be a valuable asset.
Absolutely.
Okay. Before we move on to our next segment, let's do a quick recap of the key steps involved in moving your 401k to a gold IRA.
All right. Step 1, determine your eligibility
Okay.
by reviewing your 401k plan documents.
Check those documents.
Step 2, choose your rollover method, either direct or indirect.
Direct or indirect?
Step 3, find a reputable gold IRA custodian
Uh-huh.
and open an account.
Open that account.
Step 4, once your funds are transferred,
Gotcha.
select your gold investments.
Pick your gold.
And finally, step 5, consider working with a financial advisor
Okay.
to monitor your portfolio and make adjustments as needed.
Gotcha. And remember, Gold IRA Blueprint has a free checklist on their website
Yes.
to guide you through this process. It's a fantastic resource for anyone considering a gold IRA rollover.
Definitely.
You can find that checklist at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
Perfect.
Now, before we head into the next part of our deep dive, we want to leave you with something to ponder.
Okay.
We've talked about gold as a potential hedge against inflation and economic uncertainty. But how does gold actually perform during times of crisis? Does it really live up to its reputation as a safe haven asset? That's something we'll be exploring in our next segment.
Looking forward to it. Welcome back to our deep dive into gold IRAs. Before we jump into gold's performance during times of crisis, I think it's worth circling back to the importance of choosing the right custodian.
Right. We touched on that in the last segment. But why is it so crucial? Why can't you just use your regular bank or brokerage to handle your gold IRA?
Well, it really comes down to expertise. Gold IRAs have these unique rules and requirements that your average financial institution might not be familiar with. You need a custodian who really understands the ins and outs of IRS regulations, reporting requirements, all the nuances that are specific to precious metals IRAs.
So it's not just about keeping the gold safe, it's about navigating the complexities of the IRA structure itself.
Exactly. A specialized custodian will make sure that your gold IRA is set up correctly.
Okay.
Your investments are handled appropriately and all the necessary paperwork is filed on time.
So it's about peace of mind, knowing that everything is being handled by someone who really knows what they're doing.
Absolutely. Now let's revisit those key factors to consider when evaluating potential custodians.
Yeah.
We talked about reputation and security earlier, but let's delve a little deeper.
Yeah, let's unpack that, starting with reputation. What are some signs that a custodian is trustworthy and reliable?
Well, first, look for a company with a long history in the industry.
Okay.
Check for online reviews and ratings from other customers.
Wow.
See if they have any accreditations or certifications from reputable organizations.
Okay.
You want a custodian with a proven track record and a solid reputation in the precious metals community.
So it's like checking references before hiring a contractor.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to security, this is where things get really important.
Right. We're talking about our retirement savings here.
Your retirement savings deserve the highest level of protection.
Absolutely. What should people be looking for in terms of storage options and security measures?
Look for custodians who store their gold in secure, insured vaults. Ideally, these vaults should be geographically diverse, meaning they're not all located in the same area.
Well, that's interesting.
This helps to mitigate risks associated with natural disasters or other unforeseen events.
So it's like diversifying your storage locations.
Exactly. You also want to make sure the custodian offers transparent storage procedures.
Okay.
They should be upfront about where your gold is stored, how it's accessed, and what security measures are in place to protect it.
So no hidden vaults or secret locations.
Exactly. Now let's talk about fees. This is an area where things can get a bit tricky.
Right, because everyone charges fees.
Most custodians charge a combination of annual fees, storage fees, and transaction fees.
Okay.
And it's important to understand how these fees are calculated and what they cover.
Gotcha.
Some custodians might offer lower annual fees but higher storage fees, or vice versa.
So it's not just about finding the lowest overall fee. It's about understanding the breakdown and choosing a fee structure that aligns with your investment strategy.
Precisely. For example, if you plan to buy and hold your gold for the long term, a lower annual fee might be more beneficial. But if you anticipate making frequent transactions, lower transaction fees might be more important.
So it's all about weighing the options and finding the best fit for your individual needs.
Exactly. And a reputable custodian will be transparent about their fees. They should clearly outline all costs associated with your account,
Right.
so there are no surprises down the road.
No hidden fees lurking in the fine print.
Exactly. Now, before we move on, let's circle back to that free checklist offered by Gold IRA Blueprint.
Oh yeah, that's a great resource.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone considering a Gold IRA rollover, and it covers all the key points we've discussed so far.
You can find that checklist at golderablueprint.com. SaaS exclusive.
Perfect. Now let's shift gears and address that question we posed earlier.
Okay.
Does gold live up to its reputation as a safe haven asset during times of crisis?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Huh?
Does gold really hold its value when everything else seems to be falling apart?
Well, history seems to suggest that it does. If we look back at major economic downturns like the 2008 financial crisis, gold actually performed quite well. While the stock market was plummeting, gold held its value and even saw some gains.
So it's like that sturdy lifeboat that keeps you afloat when the financial seas get rough.
That's a great analogy. During the 2008 financial crisis, the S&P 500 index, which tracks the performance of 500 large-cap U.S. companies,
Right.
plummeted over 38%.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, gold actually rose by over 4%. That's
Wow.
a pretty stark contrast.
Yeah, that's a significant difference.
Yeah.
So while stocks were taking a nosedive, gold was holding steady, even gaining some ground. That's pretty compelling evidence for its safe haven status.
It is. And if we go back even further in history, we see similar patterns. During the Great Depression, for example, gold proved to be a resilient asset. While the value of paper money plummeted and banks failed, gold maintained its value and even increased in purchasing power.
So it's not just a recent phenomenon. Gold has a long history of weathering economic storms.
Ex-
But what is it about gold that makes it so resilient during times of crisis?
There are a few key factors at play. First, gold is a finite resource.
Okay.
There's a limited supply of it in the world, which inherently gives it value. Unlike paper currencies, which can be printed at will,
Right.
gold can't simply be created out of thin air.
So it's like the classic supply and demand principle, scarcity drives value.
Exactly. Second, gold has intrinsic value.
Okay.
It's a tangible asset with practical uses in various industries, including electronics, dentistry, and even aerospace.
Right.
This underlying demand helps support its price even when market sentiment is shaky.
So unlike those fleeting digital assets that seem to appear and disappear overnight, gold has real-world applications that give it staying power.
Precisely. And third, gold is often seen as a hedge against inflation.
Okay.
When currencies lose their purchasing power, as they often do during times of economic turmoil,
Right.
gold tends to hold its value or even appreciate.
So it's like a safety net for your savings when inflation is eroding the value of paper money.
Exactly. But let's be realistic, even gold can fluctuate in price. It's not a magical cure-all for every economic ill.
Right. It's not immune to market forces.
You're absolutely right. Gold is not immune to market forces. Its price can go up and down, sometimes quite dramatically, but its historical track record suggests that it tends to be more resilient than other assets, particularly during times of crisis.
So it's not about guaranteeing a specific return, but rather about having that added layer of protection and stability within a diversified portfolio.
Exactly. Think of it like this. When the stock market is soaring, gold might not be the flashiest performer. But when the market takes a tumble, gold can help cushion the blow and preserve your wealth.
It's like having that steady, reliable friend you can always count on no matter what life throws your way.
Now let's bring this back to the current economic climate. We're
Yeah.
seeing rising inflation, geopolitical tensions, and a stock market that's been anything but predictable.
It does feel like we're living in a time of heightened uncertainty.
Absolutely.
How do these factors play into the decision to invest in gold specifically within a gold IRA?
These are all valid concerns, and they're precisely the types of situations where gold has historically shown.
So when things start to feel a little shaky, gold is that steady rock we can cling to.
That's a good way to put it. When inflation is on the rise, gold can act as a hedge against the erosion of purchasing power.
Okay.
Its value tends to increase as the cost of goods and services goes up,
Right.
helping to preserve your savings.
So it's like a built-in inflation fighter for your retirement funds.
And as for geopolitical tensions, gold has long been considered a safe haven asset during times of global uncertainty. When investors get nervous about the state of the world, they often flock to gold as a store of value. It's seen as a tangible asset that's less susceptible to the whims of political and economic turmoil.
It's like that secure bunker you can retreat to when the world feels like it's going haywire.
And then there's the stock market. As we've seen in recent years, the stock market can be incredibly volatile. Gold, on the other hand, tends to move independently of stocks.
So it's like that counterbalance that helps to stabilize your portfolio when the stock market is on a roller coaster ride.
Exactly. When stocks are plummeting, gold can help mitigate losses and preserve your overall wealth.
That's all about diversification, isn't it? Spreading the risk by having a mix of assets in your portfolio.
Precisely. A well-diversified portfolio is like a well-balanced meal. You need a variety of nutrients to stay healthy, and you need a variety of assets to create a resilient financial plan.
That's a great analogy. So a gold IRA can be one ingredient in that balanced portfolio, especially for those approaching retirement or looking for ways to protect their savings from potential economic storms.
Exactly. It's not about putting all your eggs in the gold basket, but rather about strategically incorporating it into your overall retirement strategy.
Now, before we move on to our final segment, I want to address a question we often hear. Is it too late to invest in gold? Have we missed the boat?
It's never too late to start thinking about diversifying your portfolio and exploring the potential benefits of gold. Gold is a long-term investment, and its value tends to appreciate over time. So even if you're starting later in life, there's still potential for growth and protection.
That's reassuring to hear. It's never too late to take control of your financial future. Now, for our final segment, let's shift gears and explore the practical considerations of actually investing in gold within a gold IRA. Welcome back to our deep dive into gold IRAs.
Yeah.
We've talked about the why, the how, and the who. Now let's get to the what. What does it actually look like to invest in gold within your IRA?
Right. So, it's not as simple as walking into a jewelry store and saying, I'll take that shiny bar.
Right. There are rules, right?
Exactly. The IRS has guidelines for what types of gold you can hold in a gold IRA. They want to make sure that it's investment grade,
Okay.
meet certain purity standards.
So not just any gold will do.
Right. You typically have two main options.
Okay.
Physical gold, like coins or bullion,
Wow.
and then gold-related assets, like exchange-traded funds or ETFs.
Okay. And Gold IRA Blueprint does a great job of explaining those options on their website. But for those who haven't checked it out yet, can you walk us through the key differences?
Sure. So physical gold, it's pretty straightforward. It's the actual gold coins or bars.
Right. It's tangible. You can hold it.
Exactly. It offers that tangible sense of ownership that a lot of people find appealing. You can hold it, admire it.
Right. Potentially pass it down to future generations.
Exactly. And it's often seen as a more direct hedge against inflation and economic instability.
Right. Because you own the asset itself.
Exactly. But of course, there are some practical considerations with physical gold.
Yeah. Like
Storage, for example.
Right. We talked about that.
You need a secure insured facility, which comes with fees.
Uh-huh.
And then there are the costs associated with buying and selling physical gold. those transaction costs.
Right, so it's not a cost-free investment.
No, investment is, but with physical gold, you have those added considerations.
Okay. So what about those gold ETFs? How do those work?
So gold ETFs are a little bit different. Instead of owning the physical gold, you're investing in shares of an ETF that tracks the price of gold.
So it's like investing in the gold market without actually holding the metal yourself.
Exactly. And one of the advantages of ETFs is that they're very liquid.
Oh,
You can buy and sell them easily on stock exchanges.
right. And transaction costs are typically lower than with physical gold.
Right. So if you need to access your funds quickly, ETFs offer more flexibility.
Okay. So that's a big plus for some people.
And they can also offer more diversification within the gold sector. Some ETFs track the price of gold bullion, while others invest in a basket of gold mining companies.
So you can tailor your exposure to the gold market based on your risk tolerance.
Exactly. But it's important to note that ETFs don't offer that same tangible ownership as physical gold.
Right. You're not holding that gold coin in your hand.
Right. And some investors worry about the counterparty risk associated with ETFs.
What do you mean by counterparty risk?
You're relying on the ETF provider to accurately track the price of gold and manage the underlying assets.
So you're putting your trust in a third party.
To some extent, yes. So it's important to choose a reputable ETF provider with a solid track record.
Okay. So do your research.
Exactly. And Gold IRA Blueprint can help with that. Their checklist provides guidance on evaluating both physical gold and gold ETF options.
Right. And we'll link to that checklist in the show notes. You can find it at goldarablueprint.com/exclusive. But I think it's worth taking a step back here and asking a bigger question. Why are we even having this conversation about gold IRAs?
Yeah.
Why is this strategy gaining so much traction, especially among those approaching retirement?
I think it comes down to a growing sense of unease about the future of traditional retirement savings. We've seen a lot of volatility in the stock market.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride.
Inflation has been a persistent concern, and people are looking for ways to protect their hard-earned nest eggs.
Right. They're looking for alternatives.
Exactly. And gold has this enduring appeal as a safe haven asset.
Right. It stood the test of time.
It has. And by incorporating gold into their retirement portfolios, people are hoping to add a layer of stability and protection.
That peace of mind is valuable.
Absolutely. And as we've discussed, gold has historically performed well during times of crisis.
Right. When the stock market is struggling, gold tends to hold its own.
Exactly. So it can provide a counterbalance to those losses.
It's like an insurance policy for your retirement savings.
That's a great way to put it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into gold IRAs, what key takeaways should our listeners keep in mind?
I think the most important thing is to do your research.
Right. Don't just jump in blindly.
Exactly. Gold IRAs can be a valuable tool for diversifying your retirement portfolio. But it's crucial to understand the intricacies involved. Explore different custodian options, compare fees, and carefully consider the types of gold investments that align with your risk tolerance and goals.
And remember, Gold IRA Blueprint has that free checklist on their website to guide you through this process.
It's a great resource.
You can find it at goldarablueprint.com/exclusive. We'll also link to it in the show notes. But ultimately, retirement planning is a personal journey.
It is.
And there's no one-size-fits-all approach. The Gold IRA might not be the right solution for everyone, but it's certainly worth considering as part of a diversified retirement strategy.
Absolutely.
So take the time to educate yourself, weigh your options, and make informed decisions that align with your goals and risk tolerance.
Great advice.
And remember, it's never too early or too late to start planning for a secure and fulfilling retirement. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into gold IRAs. We hope you found it informative and insightful.
It's been a pleasure.